Dr. Mason Crane. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the stage. Mason's a senior ecologist for the New South Wales Biodiversity Conservation Trust, and we're going from national down to state. And let me just help you get this up. This should be here for you, ready to go.
Thanks, Jodie. Great to be here, and hopefully I can share a bit about what the BCT is up to and some of the successes we've had, but also just to, I guess, inform people what BCT is. It's a fairly new organisation. So let's go. So on behalf of the BCT, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional custodians of the land that we are meeting here today. I pay respect to elders past and present and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal people and their ongoing culture and connection with the lands and water of New South Wales. I acknowledge all mates, colleagues, associates of Aboriginal and Torres Strait descent that are here today, and acknowledge that I won't say it. I was trying to practice the local name here. Anyway, I won't embarrass myself or disrespect by pronouncing it wrong. I'd like to also acknowledge I'm from Wiradjuri country. That's where I was born and bred, and travelled through many Aboriginal lands coming up here on Monday afternoon through pretty rough weather. So very, very grateful for getting here safely. And we'll move on. So like Jodie said, biodiversity conservation on private land is critical if we're going to protect the wide range of species that are across Australia. Where I come from in the southwest slopes, very little land is in conservation reserves, and what is in conservation reserves is a bit that the early settlers of the country didn't want. They cleared the best country, the productive country, which wasn't only productive for agriculture, but productive for a wide range of species. So in that map you can see up there, you can see some nice patches of national parks, but often they're not the good patches in the landscapes. From work I did when I worked from the Australian National University studying restoration in agricultural landscapes in the southwest slopes, we know private land takes many forms. Often it's informal. It's maybe small little projects, whether it be shelter belts on farms or fencing off riparian areas. And often it's not supported. Sometimes it might get some minimal support from land care or local land services. But these small little efforts that landowners are doing are making a big difference for biodiversity and threatened species. And we notice that over monitoring biodiversity for 20 years in this landscape, that we've seen woodland birds, squirrel gliders and stuff responding to a lot of this work that private landowners were doing. But the challenge with this private land conservation is, while there's many opportunities out there and things are really happening out there, there comes with a lot of risk. And over 20 years of working with a lot of these different landowners, you see these risks emerge, and sometimes good conservation programs or investments can go backwards with change in landowners, new land uses, land use intensification, change in priorities of landowners. It's tough for some landowners. They've got to make a living out there. You get a big drought and all of a sudden some of their conservation ambitions may be put on the sideline while they're trying to survive a really dry and tough period. And the general lack of resources. A lot of people want to do the right thing on their private land, but not having resources to do it, whether that's time or money, will impact what they can actually achieve. So the New South Wales Biodiversity Conservation Trust does provide an opportunity for landowners. It's not for every conservation-minded landowner out there, but it does provide a really good product, which I'll talk about. We were only established in 2017. BCT's primary objective is to encourage and support landowners across New South Wales to participate in formal conservation agreements, and we took on the administration of all previous on-title agreements, and we also administer the biodiversity stewardship agreements, which are the offset agreements that are set up across the state to offset clearing and development elsewhere. What BCT agreements offer is sort of, I guess, high integrity investments or agreements. The agreements are always on title, and they can be termed, and we're moving more to they can be termed or in perpetuity, and we're moving more and more to in perpetuity agreements. So that's forever on title. They form part of New South Wales's conservation network. They're funded, or they can be unfunded agreements, but the unfunded agreements, even the legacy agreements, there is a program there for funding. The funded agreements receive ongoing annual payments, which are held in trust by the by the trust, and that's the real changer, the game changer in this space. Each year, that's reviewed by the landowners. Reviewed by BCT staff to see if landowners are meeting their agreed actions, and then payments are dispersed. So there's some good accountability there. And there's detailed ecological monitoring that go with these agreements. Across the state, we have 1,862 agreements, and 1,766 of those agreements are in perpetuity agreements, which makes up a huge amount of hectares, so 581,000 hectares of in perpetuity agreements. And there's huge opportunities to reinvest in those areas. We look at the New South Wales koala strategy there. In our little area in the southwest slopes, we have 16,000 hectares of high quality koala habitat there, almost purely vacant because of historic clearing and shooting and that sort of stuff back in the early days, and there's a huge opportunity to invest in those areas. We have a couple of programs that are on offer every year, so some are funded and some are unfunded. But what we do is targeted conservation tenders as well. So we've had numerous over the states which can be targeted at species or ecological communities. And we also have another mechanism called the revolving fund, which means we can buy properties, put conservation agreements on and sell them again. And a good example of where that's helped a particular species is we bought a property near Narrandera with high quality habitat and lots of koalas on it, but we also invested in some revegetation to do some corridors, and that was in partnership with a philanthropic investor. The case study I wanted to talk about is what we did for Plains Wanderers a couple of years ago. The Riverina Plains is home of the largest population of Plains Wanderers and is a priority area for Save Our Species. Majority of the mapped primary habitats, that's where they breed and often will be seen, is on private land. There was a successful program already done with LLS and SOS to engage landowners, and we could come on top of that with a more formal process and more long-term conservation by offering a tender to those landowners in that area with the support of LLS and SOS. The Plains Wanderer, if you don't know it, is a small ground bird. It's an interesting one. Unlike quails that can duck through the grass and weave through it, they're a bit more clumsy. How they walk around, they like a bit of open space to move around, and often they call them the Goldilocks bird, because if the vegetation's too thick, they don't like it, and if it's too thin, they don't like it. So you need to get somewhere in between. Livestock grazing is a tool that's often used for the species, and often you'll see Plains Wanderers coexisting with livestock if livestock is managed well. So we developed a program. We asked landowners to submit their EOIs. We put a maximum price per hectare for primary habitat and other vegetation. We offered in perpetuity agreements and fixed term agreements up to 15 years. And we're seeing now a lot of those landowners now want to upgrade that to an ongoing agreement or in perpetuity agreement. We had other parameters like had to have over 100 hectares of primary habitat, You had to be in the priority area, and vegetation had to be in a moderate to high condition. And from that we had 21 expressions of interest. 8 landowners signed agreements. They were a mixture of in perpetuity and termed, and this secured 4,000 hectares of primary habitat, but all up 20 hectares of secondary and primary habitat, which is a mixture of a few other different veg types, all to be managed for the next 15 years. Our sites are protected from development intensification and agricultural intensification, which is a major threat out in that area. Landowners are required to do fox and cat control. They maintain the primary habitat into the ideal condition with grazing, and then they have to report on that and their other management actions. BCT staff will review their contracts, their annual reports each year to see if the actions are being met and the habitat's in good condition. And then there's also, and then the money will be released, so it's a good thing to remind landowners what they signed up for. And BCT, together with SOS, are doing a detailed monitoring program on this. But the other great thing with this is now we have areas out there that have some formal conservation on them where they're formally protected under legislation. They offer really secure places to do other investments, and we've seen a number of the relocated plains wanderers that are bred here put out onto these properties as well, which can give a bit of security to those who are investing in the relocations. But that's it. Thank you.